part of
It's
what
like I have to
he and
check
I
with
were
the
doing.
dance schedule.
Yeah.
I guess for platinum.
Ooh, we're having our death on Sunday.
Okay.
That's for what I want.
I'll officially call this meeting of the Seneca County Board of Commissioners for Tuesday, March 13th to order. If you'll please join us for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads. Lord, please guide us as we contemplate the county's work today. Please keep all of our public safety officials safe, and also pray for healing for people who have issues with mental health. Keep our schools safe and keep our children safe as they contemplate their own safety in schools that they attend. In your name we pray.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Fisher, Commissioner Stacy,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Here.
Okay, we'll have the signing of the journal, and I'll accept a motion to approve the digital audio recording of the previous session of Tuesday, March 6th, and the index of that meeting.
So moved.
I will second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Approved, thanks. Okay, any adjustments to the printed agenda? Things we need to add.
Yeah, I want to talk about a scanner,
Okay.
and I want to talk about a roof. The ag building.
Okay. Both those be new?
Those would be new businesses. New business side.
Okay, your roof is the only one I have. You have anything to add?
I do. I have a buildings and grounds application, and I need to carpet for the CSP.
All right. Nicole, did you have anything to add? Okay. Charlene, we had you down at 10 o'clock. Do you need to go come first? So,
I can.
up to you. Come on down.
All right.
I think she's gonna talk.
Price is
compre-
right.
Yeah. The comprehensive plan.
So I came to talk about comprehensive planning. Last time I was here, I explained to you what the priorities were going to be, some of the process, who the partners in the project were going to be. So as of today, I'm happy to announce that we have the commitment from the City of Tiffin. We have the commitment from the Parks District. We have a commitment from FEDC. And we have a commitment from the Regional Planning Board. And now I am coming to the Seneca County Commissioners to ask you for a commitment and contribution towards this project. At this point, we vetted the numbers, we ran through them, and we would like to ask the commissioners for a $15,000 contribution to the comprehensive plan. This would cover your portion. If you were to contribute that, I can just break down where the other contributions are coming from. Regional Planning will be contributing $60,429.38 towards the plan. Then we have another $34,200 that will be coming from the City of Tiffin.
What was the amount again?
$34,200.
You ran through that really fast.
Sorry, I've been this morning. Sorry. And then FEDC has contributed and made a commitment of $10,000 towards their portion, and the Park District has committed up to $19,000 towards their portion, which leads us with the gap of the $15,000. At this point, we've reviewed the process and the priorities quite a bit. Fostoria's priorities, they only have one priority for the city comprehensive portion. So it's 1/4 of what the city of Tiffin has. So we feel that we're covering a portion of the city of Tiffin's from the assessment increase in regional planning. We're covering a portion of Fostoria's from the assessment increase. We're covering a majority of Seneca counties, the townships and villages from the increased assessment. And that's why we did come to the commissioners for the request that we've made. There is a difference between the increase in assessment and the amount we're contributing, because regional planning will have administrative duties towards doing this comprehensive plan, and we have requirements that we have to do to keep the costs under control. So by doing that, we will retain a portion of that assessment increase to make sure that we are able to do those duties as needed to keep those costs under control. Any questions or concerns?
Looks like a real collaborative effort. So I appreciate you running drafts on this and getting everybody on board.
Thank you.
I would make a motion that the county contribute $15,000.
I will second the motion.
I have prepared a resolution and submitted it for you, so I appreciate that. I am very thankful. And we will be contacting CT Consultants this afternoon to start getting the contract ready. And I will be working the last week of March, but I will not be in county most of the week. I have training. Then I do have a day that's a boots on the ground day for another plan that we're doing, so I won't be available. Then the last day of the week, the last week of the month, will be meetings. So I'm hoping to try to get this contract squared away next week so that in April they can start working through the processes. Just to advise you as the commissioners and so the community knows, this will be a transparent project. We will be creating probably a Google Drive that will come from our agency that will go to those who are contributing, so they will be able to see the timelines, the contract, and processes as we move forward, and that will be shared. I think it's going to be a Google Drive because everybody can seem to get into Google. Not everybody can get into the Dropbox Drive, and I know all those are technical terms, but we're trying to make it so that all parties involved have access to information. And so that the public is aware, there will be public meetings for all parts of this, and we encourage you and ask you to attend. It is key because these plans cannot be done without the public's input. And this is what helps guide your community, and we really need your input on that.
Is there a public meeting, a first one up front or after 25% of the work, or where does the first one fall?
Well, we will figure that out during the contract.
Okay. Yeah, just curious.
We need to see their timeline. We had the proposed timeline of what the initial massive project would have been when they came back with the astronomical cost. And now that we've negotiated it to a realistic cost, we want to see that timeline more condensed and where we're going to be. So that'll be part of the project as well. And then I will come back and share that information so that the public knows when meetings will be coming. All right.
Great.
All right. I thank you for your time.
Emphasis on we need input. We need
We-
people to participate, yeah.
Yes, yeah. And this has been a goal for a long time to get this comprehensive plan updated for everybody that benefits across the county. And this listing of financial partners is a great achievement, so thank you for your work on that.
No problem.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor, so roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes,
Commissioner Kirsch?
okay, approved.
Thank you very much.
Could you give me the amount RPC is contributing again?
60,429.38.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? All right, thank you for your
How
time.
much of that administration does Paul get?
Well, I talked as a wonderful board member and executive committee member.
You're happy to add?
Just wanted to give you, we would like to learn more about, with the Ohio EPA.
Okay, next, before we get into the agenda items, we had scheduled Joy Pageant, who's here with the Ohio EPA.
Thank you, Commissioner.
So, yes, we'll let you
Go
take it
now?
from there. Yeah.
Okay, great. And I want to introduce my colleague, Pejman Fala. He and I, our offices are this far apart, so we work together every day, that we're both in the office. But he has been with the Ohio EPA for over 30 years and has held virtually every position when it comes to funding. And I know, Commissioner Thomas, you asked specifically that you have some funding issues that you would like to have addressed. So what I'd like to do is quickly go through the presentation, and then we can open it up to questions and come back to the funding portion.
Okay.
Does that sound
Fair.
plan?
I
And
like
I
it.
promised I would do this in less than 15 minutes, so I'm going to talk and talk fast, but you can interrupt me anytime you want. You have a little packet in front of you that we're going to go through, but I need to tell you a little bit about the Office of Outreach and Customer Support. It is a relatively new department, probably about 2 years old now. And the way that it came about was when Director Butler, who started his career with the EPA when he was an intern in college, he was at OU and he interned at the Southeast District Office in what is called the OCAP division, which I will be reviewing with you in a couple minutes. After college, he went to work at Southeast District, worked his way up to becoming the director, was transferred to the Central District, worked his way up to becoming director, and had several administrative positions When Governor Kasich was elected, he went to the governor's office to serve as the governor's environment and energy advisor. And then when the position came open for the EPA director, he was appointed to the EPA directorship. So what I am told, I was not at the EPA at the time, but Tejman was there, and he can probably verify this. The director called the administrative staff together and said, well, you know, I know how the EPA operates. I've been here for over 25 years, but we have something that's missing. And what is missing is that we do not have and these are his words, a front door to the EPA. We don't have a department in which people can go to when they have issues that they need to remediate, when they have questions. And it is the non-regulatory side of the EPA that very few people know the depth of the programs that are available there. When you think of EPA, you generally think of the regulatory side, and that's the side that deals with violations. But you know what? We all want clean air, we all want clean water, so we do need to have those regulations. But it needs to be balanced with the non-regulatory side that will assist communities, counties, whatever, get what they need to meet the regulatory requirements. So he said, we're going to do this. We're going to start this new department. I had worked with Director Butler in the past. He gave me a call and said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Are you interested in coming and talking to me about it? And I said, sure. And I was sort of semi-retired at the time. And we sat down, and I got excited because I've been doing outreach work my whole entire life throughout, particularly southeastern Ohio. And I excitedly said to him, well, how large will my district be, my region? And he looks me straight in the eye and he says, well, I was thinking 88 counties. So you are my 78th county. And can assure you of one thing. There are no two counties that are structured alike. Every single one of them are different. And see my good friend Dave Zach here today. He and I worked together in the past. You're very fortunate to have him. He's definitely one of the best. And actually David had contacted me, 2 weeks ago, to see if I could come up and speak to his business group. So I had agreed to do that, and then this just sort of coincided. And so it's really great to see you twice, David. So here we go. What does this department offer? So if you open up the first, it is a trifold because we have 3 departments within the Division of Environmental and Financial Assistance. And if you look on the left-hand side, the Office of Outreach and Customer Support, that's the office that Pejman and I are part of. There are 4 of us that serve the entire state. I look at this department as the educational and informational department. So that's why we're here, face to face, talking to you. You ask questions, we try to get the answers, we try to connect the dots whenever we can. The other thing that we can do, if you give me your business cards, whomever would like to do that, I can make sure that you get added to our list of getting monthly updates and then a quarterly newsletter. Any information we send to you, you can send right back out in any of your communications. Also, if you ever wanted to have a special meeting, some counties have done this. Particularly, we worked in Belmont County and put together a "Where's the Money" panel, because that's usually the question that most communities have. But if you have small villages, areas that would really like to know how in the world do we get connected to public water, public wastewater, what the Belmont County Commissioners did is they invited the mayors, the village administrators, anybody, the grant writers, brought them all into a room, and we brought in a panel, not just from the EPA, but we brought OWDA was there, and USDA, I believe, was there. So we try to bring all the funders to you so that people have a full picture and they can convene a conversation. What I tell everybody, it doesn't cost anything to convene a conversation. It might cost you if you decide to have an action plan, but that conversation does not cost anything. So we are here. If you have safety council, if you have other organizations, manufacturing councils, like I said, every county is different. We would love to come back and tell you what is available. So the way that I have put this plan together is I said to the director, look, on this first pass through, why don't we go in and meet with the commissioners, the economic development directors, and the chamber directors, because these are all people of influence within their counties, and they would be able to take our message and then help push it out to others who can use some of the services. So David agreed to come to this meeting, so he's going to participate here. And then I did have a meeting with the chamber director, but we had to reschedule that, so I'll be coming back to meet with her later. The middle panel is the Office of Financial Assistance, which is what I think you're really going to be interested in. And I did bring a little historical fact sheet of the interactions between the EPA and Seneca County. Are you with media?
Yes, thank you.
And the reason I bring this is so that you can take a look at what it is that you have already done with the EPA. You don't have a long history, but you may have a future coming with some of the projects that I know that you have in mind. And along with that, what I want to pass out to you is what I call a Cliff's Notes of how our funding opportunities work at the EPA. It doesn't have everything that you need to know, but it does have the key points on accessing wastewater and water loans, revolving loan funds, and then on the back there's information about projects within the little. So let me just ask you, are you at this point, either the county commissioners or areas within Seneca County, are they looking at expanding, renovating, implementing new water, wastewater projects?
Yeah, we have several areas that are wastewater projects that are adjacent to essentially at this point the city of Tiffin. Several neighborhoods that need some help, and we're actively investigating those areas now, and we want to try to find a way to manage that cost for those folks. Some of them are known issues that have been around for a while. So we have several neighborhoods that are active right now in the discussion.
And this may be where we can offer assistance, because the EPA has the largest loan fund of any funder. We actually loaned out over $1 billion last year. We have the lowest interest rates, but we do not compete with other funders. We want to help you in mixing, matching, and leveraging all the resources that you possibly can to get your projects done.
How about grant money?
Well, I'm going to turn to page. Do you want to do that now in the middle, or do
You
want
asked
to-
the question.
No,
I would
no,
like
no.
grant money.
No, great question. We would want to answer that for you. Let's go ahead and have the financial discussion right now, and then I'll wrap up with the last panel. But do you want to talk about
Sure.
grant money, page 1?
Yeah. Well, once again, thank you for having us here. I appreciate that. And if there's any also question from the audience, by all means. We don't directly have grants for our communities. Indirect grant is the amount of saving that we offer with subsidizing the cost of the project, because we offer, depending on the median household income of the resident impacted by either the drinking water or wastewater project, we could have 0% loan, 1% loan, small community, or standard.
And that's all on that green sheet that I gave
Right.
you.
And just something, I was looking at the list of the project that Joy has put together in terms of a historical information for the county. And I looked at it and I said, oh my gosh, I've been involved with every project that is on the list. It shows how long I've been with Ohio EPA. Maybe some people say too long. But so we don't have that. We have something which is kind of a grant. It's called principal forgiveness. And a principal forgiveness is that we, with one hand, we offer a loan, and with the other hand, we forgive the loan. And that's a very limited so-called grant that we can offer, but there are strings attached to it. And I say, maybe I shouldn't say strings, but there are strings. And that is, it's for the poorest communities in Ohio. So if, if the median household income of those particular neighborhoods, they don't meet the program criteria, if the unemployment rate doesn't mean, if the population has been declining and there's like an age gap factor in there. If any of those 4 criteria doesn't meet our principal forgiveness, then we wouldn't be able to offer that. It's very competitive, but it doesn't hurt for us to cross that when you're ready to have that conversation.
Is that through an income survey, or is that through census tract?
It's through the census tract. It's through the American Community Survey, and that's the
how
only.
specific can you get on that?
It's
Because
whatever.
we're talking about areas with 20 houses. Can we get down to 20 house level?
I think
Or
it's
would
going
that
to be
census tract?
challenging. Right, it's going to be very challenging when you're talking about such a limited area, and also the other aspect of.
Can we do income surveys and substitute them?
No, the funding programs, they don't encourage the communities to do their own income survey. We only rely on the information that we collect from American Community Survey. See, but what happened is that there is also another challenge beside the MHI. The issue becomes how do you pay for that project? If it's like say $500,000, and you take that $500,000 and distribute it among all your countywide user, it doesn't fall under the principal forgiveness, because programs that are similar to principal forgiveness are designed that would only benefit the low-income residents that are directly impacted by the cost of the project. So that would be another challenge. But the thing is that we're not the only funding program. As Joyce said, there are many other funding programs. Some of them you know very well. It can be Public Works Commission, CDBG, the HUD program, that they are grants. So basically what we can do is work with the county to identify all those areas in needs. Then maybe look at it either as individual or as comprehensive, find out how much it would cost us, then have a conversation with all the funding programs, whether we bring them here or you come to Columbus and attend our small community environmental infrastructure group, which is called SCIG, and have that conversation with every representative of those funding programs, and then you will get a better idea about the timeline and the optimal funding scenario that you can bring together to address those problems, whether it would be a phased approach or as one. And whenever you're ready to have that conversation, we're interested and we're available.
Yeah, I'm concerned about our villages because they have, a small number of households to spread the cost over. But you're pretty aggressive in the mandates that you put on these villages, and there's just not enough households to spread that cost. So I mean, those are areas where I think we specifically need infrastructure maintenance funds, because we have the mandate, but we don't have the funding.
Right.
And so those unfunded mandates are trying to be spread across the taxpayers through their sewer bills. And, I think it's hurting the strength of our villages, and rural Seneca County, they're an important pillar in our community.
Right.
And we're forcing people out of the villages because they have to pay for their own infrastructure. So, I mean, I think we need to look at those funding streams, even from a maintenance standpoint, just maintaining the systems.
Right. No, we
I'm gonna
understand. Yeah.
Give you one additional, I want you to know that we want to help you solve your challenges. And RCAP, I don't know if you're familiar with RCAP? Are you familiar with RCAP?
A little bit. I can't speak to it fluently, but I can.
RCAP is Rural Communities Assistance Program, I believe. Normally for small communities, they operate at, I mean, there should not be any cost involved. In accessing them, we would be glad to make a contact for you. Again, it doesn't cost anything to convene that conversation. But on that, we have summarized all the funding resources for water and wastewater, so that you can see where there are multiple places that you can go. But what you really need is you need someone who can help you explore all of those, and RCAP would be my best recommendation for you
Right, absolutely.
to do that.
Right.
I mean, you can contact him yourself, or we can find exactly the person that you need to be talking with. Just let us know
Right.
if you need that.
Well,
I'm sorry
when-
for interrupting
no, no,
you,
no,
but
no,
I
you
wanted to
didn't
bring
interrupt.
that in.
No, we're like a team, so we go back and forth. When I was working with City of Tiffin, Tom Fishbaugh from RCAP was involved with the Tiffin. I don't know whether that relationship still is ongoing, but I would definitely echo what Joyce said. You know, the thing is that we're not going to be able to come up with one answer. But we can tell you one thing, that we really want to be, we really want to be able to be part of the solution. And it's not even about our funding program. You know, if the county or any of your villages take $1 from us or not, we want to work with them, solve their problem, because ultimately goes back to what Joy was talking about. Our job is to see the problems go away and benefit you, benefit the county, benefit all the villages and township and the residents, and as well as, making sure that Ohio EPA is, getting the compliance that they need. It's not about forcing you, but it's about finding those solutions. I understand that, recently our Northwest District Office staff have notified the county about some water quality violations. So, and I understand that they're expecting some sort of a follow-up. Let us get involved, because we work with both sides of the equation well, and we want to be able to see all of us come together and make sure that you succeed. I don't know where we're going to go with it, and I cannot make a promise. But one thing I would like to say is that let's have this conversation. Let's figure out what you need short-term, long-term, and how we can bring those components together, and how we can hook you back and connect you to whether it's Public Works, CDBG, or any other funding program. Maybe we're not maybe a 0% loan is not even an answer. Maybe what you need is a USDA combination of loan and grant. Maybe like a sprinkle of public work here, and maybe CDBG can come in. And if there are and at times OWDA has some limited grant that they can offer to unsewered areas. So I don't know, but let's have that conversation. Whenever you're ready, we're ready.
Is it ever seen when we talk about the size of a community, when she mentioned, there's only 20 households and it's probably not a big enough section with the census data or however that's obtained. Has it ever been where non-adjacent projects are combined?
Yes.
Okay.
As
That
a
would be a
matter,
potential with some of the Tiffins, because there's more than one area, right?
Yeah, right.
And then, I know we've worked with the small communities, we were in Columbus with that group, with our sanitary engineer
okay.
4 or 5 years ago for our New Riggle sewer project.
Yes,
And so
actually, I
forth.
was
And,
there.
Yeah, and that one has had a USDA grant, it
Yes.
has had other things with it, and I need to get back in touch with him on that project specifically. We were looking for a new solution there.
Yes.
Because it is of the issue that the others who need the sewer system has, is the cost is just astronomical for the number of households and few businesses that are linked into it.
No,
And that has a lot to do with history on the size of that project and so
Right.
forth, so that's why we're looking,
Right.
new solution.
That
I
that
understand.
buzzword regionalization
Yes.
means a lot. In fact, if you look down through your sheet there, regionalization can actually be worth, if everything else qualifies, a significant amount on your principal forgiveness. So
So
anytime.
talk to me about regionalization. What does that?
That-
What do you mean?
wanna
Group
speak to
of
that?
Yeah, absolutely. Regionalization is what Commissioner Stacy was talking about, and that is looking at your countywide needs as a whole. And I don't know whether the countywide planning that Charlene was talking about, is about your water, wastewater infrastructure or not. But overall, looking at it as a whole, like identifying systems, like I know New Riddle has the capacity, and how you can combine those areas. So instead of like having a system on its own, they would have a system that they can collectively share and use. So whether it would be sending the flows to Tiffin for wastewater, or providing one regional drinking water supply for for more than one area, that's what regionalization means. But we have also taken.
So you don't care where it goes?
It
It's
doesn't
just-
matter.
So if it goes to Tiffin or it goes to Fostoria,
Right.
if it's an adjoining area, it's in the county,
Right.
you would consider that a regional
Right.
effort?
Well, the cost becomes less and the operation and maintenance more secure
Right.
going forward because you're in a much larger pool.
And some of us have taken the classical definition of regionalization and we've expanded it. We've said like, okay, if you cannot have a regional solution, can you at least come together and share equipments? Can you create like a co-op agreement among 2 or 3 villages or a few townships along with the county, so those sort of ideas can be explored. So, I would say that regionalization is there, but how far you want to take it is up to how far you want to establish those sort of ideas.
So regionalization, that is a attribute for funding?
It's definitely a criteria, and it would definitely benefit the systems that would get a small community rate or 1% or even standard rate, because it gives them a discount on their overall interest rate, as far as our program is concerned. But as Joy was talking about, the whole notion of regionalization has become a important evaluation criteria for across the funding program. For instance, USDA, you would have a better chance with USDA if you have a regional solution than if you have an individual solution. And we work closely with all the funding programs.
Now, I've had people say, well, I don't know that I should be talking with you because I've already talked to OWDA. Well, that is the closest relationship ever between the funders, because if you ever get a loan from the EPA, OWDA is actually our bank.
Yeah.
They do all the backroom operations. So there is no competition. It's just a matter of helping you solve the problems that you have. And like I said, we are more than willing to work together with anybody that will get you to your best bottom line. And you really need to have people such as RCAP who truly understand every one of those programs. They will understand your county because they serve regionally. And again, it's just starting that conversation to solve the issues that you have. Any questions right now on this? And I mean, I'm hoping that this dialogue continues beyond this meeting.
Yeah, on funding, I guess I would, if Holly doesn't mind, if Charlene or David have any questions, because they work with us, obviously, they're our arms and our legs for a lot of projects.
I don't have too many questions on funding. My previous life was at WSOS. So
Oh, okay.
I know RCAP very well and know most of the people that work in RCAP. So I am glad to start a conversation. That's something we can start. I've taken some good notes. Since we're regional planning, I may look into doing that whole where's the money conversation and get that organized for our county. I think that would be a great thing to do just for informational purposes, if anything. But as we further our discussion on a couple of situations that we have in the county, and as the administrator of the county sewer district, we may have some other regionalized ideas that pop up as we go, and I think that's going to need further exploration.
I mean,
That's
we're never going to solve everything in one meeting, so
No.
it's just
Sure.
continuing. Other funding that we have available within the Office of Financial Assistance is for litter. And what I noticed from this fact sheet that I gave you, and I don't know that I understood it. Do you work with the Solid Waste District?
I am the director of regional planning for the county.
Okay.
So
I thought I heard you say something about Solid Waste District.
We do
so-
have a solid waste district.
Okay.
We do have
Well,
one.
when I looked at this, I just see that there are very, very, very few grants that have gone to Seneca County within our recycling and litter control program. That's not a criticism, it's just an observation. But the very first palm card that you have in your packet there is about our program. If you look on the back, you'll see that there are 4 different grant opportunities. Most counties take advantage of the community development grant and the litter management grant. What I wanted to bring to your attention, and you did receive one of these, a market development grant back in 2016 with Ottawa, Sandusky, and Seneca County Soil and Water. But what that market grant is, if you know of a business, it can be a profit or nonprofit, that can reduce the amount of waste sending to the landfill, they might, and I emphasize might, be eligible for some kind of grant towards their equipment. It is rare that you find grants for businesses. Rare.
That's why I'm bringing you up.
Okay. But these are the two, the scrap tire and the market development grant. So if you've got other businesses, I don't know GIB, I don't know what they do. But obviously they heard about the program and they successfully were able to get money in 2016. So again, if you know of a company that is collecting tires, asphalt shingles, and turning them into a useful product, it doesn't have to be an end product, but a useful product, a raw material for something else, you might want to make them aware of these particular grants. The next palm card is the Zero Waste Special Planning. This is more of an informational card. Again, if you've got fairs, festivals, running events, whatever you have that's going on, if the organizers of those programs are interested in making their event a zero waste event, we have planning. We have people that will help them work through that. They can also apply for a partnership grant where they get corrugated bins, where they get the plastic liners. Again, this is just to let them know that this is available if they are interested. All right, so that's our money portion. And then the last panel on the right-hand side is what I consider to be one of the least known programs, and yet one of the very most important ones when it comes to regulation, because this is where businesses tremor when they hear EPA. That's the regulatory side. So we want to balance that again with the non-regulatory side. As Pejman was talking about, the letter that you received with, what community was that?
Woodland? Yeah, like a
I have it here.
community or
But
streets, right?
that was a notice of violation. That's the regulatory side. Again, I keep emphasizing we're the non-regulatory side. We want to help you work through that particular issue. Same way with businesses. Most businesses don't know that we offer free and confidential assistance to businesses who need help in complying with their environmental requirements. And I say free, we all understand. Confidential, that is by the Ohio Revised Code. That anybody that assists you on this OCAP division, which has got a box around it, it's very separate, that information cannot be shared with the regulatory side. So if you hear of a business that gets a notice of violation and they're like, oh my gosh, what do we do now? First thing they do is call us, because we will help them work through that issue. Most of the time, it's paperwork. Let's say you have a new startup business, and they may need permits, air permits, stormwater permits, whatever kind of permit they may need to have. They don't have to hire somebody to do that. If they would call us, we will help them with all their paperwork for that permit, again, free and confidentially.
That's not privileged though. So if they were in violation and if they got an action against them, first thing the OEPA would do is subpoena that information, right?
No, it's not even subject to public record requests. This is totally confidential by Ohio Revised Code. Now, where there might be some discussion is if I'm the OCAP person, because Northwest District has their own OCAP people. Jeremy Scholes could not be here with me today. Originally, he planned to be here. But he would take that himself and take a look at it. And if he said to you as the company owner, hey, Mr. Thomas, I know you got the notice of violation. I know it's confidential, but if you will permit me to talk to the inspector, I might be able to get down, I might be able to fix this more easily. You would have to give him permission before he would talk to the regulatory side. It's in the code.
I'd like to see the case law on that, because if that's true, that is a tremendous service that you offer, and businesses could certainly utilize that, and we could all get along better. My sense is, though, that it would be discoverable, and in an enforcement action, it would be the first things.
Well, if I could put this in quotation, you know, you're a doubting Thomas, I can say.
Nicely
But
played.
let me just say, let's say that it's an egregious violation. You're throwing mercury down into the stream or some. I mean, if it's something really, really egregious that really is out there endangering the public safety, yeah, that's a whole different bailiwick. I'm talking about a notice violation because the proper paperwork has not been filed. You know, these are the ones that we can help. And what companies do, and I have dealt with this now multiple times, they get that notice of violation and they're like, oh my God, and they set it down and it waits and it waits. The longer you wait, the worse it becomes. The best thing to do is get the notice of violation, call the OCAP person, the non-regulatory side, let them help you through that.
So Joy, if I may,
Sure, absolutely.
It doesn't have to be even notice of violation. If you have a small business that wants to start operating in your county and they need to get air permit, our OCAP person can also help to get that air permit secured for that business. So that's one thing. And Joy is correct. As long as the issue is not something that becomes an environmental hazard, and for instance would be like a issue that would impact public health and raise that sort of concern, as long as it's not under that umbrella, it would be confidential. And the confidentiality of it is secured through the state law.
Yeah, it's
And another thing is that if the permit is a Title V, then our OCAP friends cannot help with that.
Okay.
So it's anything that is not a Title V.
Okay.
All right, right.
All right, very quickly, two more business related assistances. Most of what we can do is outlined here on this little pamphlet. This is a little bit different. If you've got a company who, no notice of violation, they just want an assessment of what they're doing, how can we reduce our pollution. We have a team of people that will go to their facility, we'll do a walkthrough, we'll spend time with the environmental people at that company, we'll look around for suggestions of what they might be able to do to improve their environment there. Go back, they'll do a report within 30 days, send it to the company. The company is under no requirement to fulfill these recommendations. That's what it is. It's basically just a walkthrough and recommendations, and the company can either set it on a shelf or they can start implementing some of the recommendations. Again, free and confidential. This is something I want you to be aware of. David, you might want to focus on this particular card. It's called the Ohio Marketplace. You may already know about this, but the EPA is now offering a platform where a company, a government entity, city, village, county, whatever, can go online, they can register and say, hey, we've got 300 pallets back in the warehouse. We'd love to get rid of these pallets without sending them to the landfill. Some other company can be looking at that and saying, I've been needing some pallets at a good rate. We don't get involved in any of the financials. We don't get involved in any of the transportation. All we do is provide this platform so that you can view what's out there and available. And then also on the other side, it's like, here's what I'd like to have. So you will find desks, chairs, computers, paint, And somebody found bottle caps. They put bottle caps on there. That was one of our first trades. I think it was 10,000 bottle caps. And within about 2 weeks, some other company went, bottle caps, we've been looking for bottle caps. And so that trade was made. But the whole reason for this is to get away from that linear economy that we now have, in which, you know, you buy something, you use whatever you want, and then what you don't want, you send to the landfill. We're trying to go to a circular economy so that we are not sending all these items out there, and we can use and reuse and use and reuse. So that's a little bit on the back. And the last two cards I have here are encouraging environmental excellence. This is a recognition program for your businesses. If you know of businesses, and it doesn't have to be business, it can be, again, the government office, it can be the commissioner's office, but in which you are actually promoting and proactively saying, we want to do some better things for the environment. It can be as simple as putting in energy efficiency lighting, it can be having recycling bins, or it can, as many companies do, they've worked all their way up to the gold and silver level and platinum level. Know that every program we have will assist the people who are wanting to work with it, whether it's the litter, the marketplace, whether it's this E3, is that people are not on their own to just fill out all the paperwork. We have teams of people that will help them through all of these. And then the last one is just an FYI. Please, if you know of any companies that are doing demolition and renovation, that they absolutely submit their plan to the EPA so that we are watching for asbestos. And so to finalize this, I have a directory. The director also said, hey, we want to make sure that people know how to get a hold of us. Oops, I was about to give you a Santa Fe County guide. So I'm a little short on those. Maybe if you want them, I can get you one. But this is every program that we have on the non-regulatory side is summarized. In the lower corner there, it has the person that's responsible for that particular program, their direct phone number, their direct email, so that it makes it easier for you. And if you go, but I don't want to look all that up. If you go to page 4, you will see my colleague, Pejman, and me. You can come to us and we will work our way through it for you.
So Joy, if I may, if I can, commissioners and everyone here, two names as far as public funding, our public financing is concerned. WPCLF for wastewater, WSRLA for drinking water infrastructure improvements. We have timeline, deadline for each program that you can nominate a project. For WPCLF, which is wastewater, August of 2018, from August 1st to the end of August, we accept nomination for either design or construction loans for WPCLF. If you're ready to nominate any of your project, please keep August in mind. It doesn't mean that you have to do it. What it means is that you save a place, and that's all it means. If you're not ready to take it to that level, and you're talking about, and we need to think about planning, and maybe even link it back to the comprehensive planning that you're working on, then we can work with you. We can even see if we can provide a planning loan. It can be through us, it can be through OWDA. You know, if you go to either one, it's okay, but it's just a matter of let us be involved and be part of that conversation.
So if we have a regional project that needs engineering and design, and we have that area defined, we can submit that and you'll do planning? Or, I mean, if we were successful in getting a spot, you would help us with planning?
We will help you with the planning, not in terms of doing it for you, but in terms of helping you. You mentioned, I don't know, city consultant, like let's say like city consultant, city engineers are doing the planning along with your regional planning and all the players involved. We will also be one of the stakeholders to help bring resources to the process. We will not do it for you, but we will.
You won't do the engineering?
We will not do
that.
that.
Engineering grant.
But
the engineering and planning of these projects are expensive in themselves.
Right.
Well,
So-
this might be something that's you might want to know, but if you say you went for a planning loan,
Yeah.
and then you decide to go to design, you can roll the planning loan into the design loan, and then the design loan can be rolled into the construction loan, and then you only have one bill at the end, so to
Right.
speak.
And that's in the ideal scenario. Personally, my background is engineering, so like I can't help it but to try to look at the different angles of each equation. But we don't have the expertise that your consultants will have, but we will be able to bring the funding and as well as a lot of questions, because it's like you build a resource team, and the resource team, their job is to help you succeed, and their job is to look at all the questions, that identify the challenges and find ways to address it, and we would be one of those people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Do you feel like you have some of the information you were looking for?
Yes, but I'm not gonna let you off without talking about this VW thing. I mean, I know you're not allowed to talk about it, but, you know, Ohio has gotten, you know, a tremendous chunk of money to fund environmental change in Ohio from the VW Trust Fund. And as the plan is proposed by your office, it specifically excludes Seneca County. And I have a high degree of displeasure with that. Representative Reineke has a high degree of displeasure with that. And I've talked to the US EPA, the lead attorneys on this case, and you know, they're not putting any requirements on the state of Ohio. So it is EPA getting co-opted by Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, specifically Columbus and Smart City Initiative, at the exclusion of Tiffin and Seneca County, and I'm not happy. I just don't think it's fair. I think that the fund should have at least a 10% rural opportunity, a competitive grant, and you know, I'm not going to shut up about it, because it's very disappointing when we don't even get a chance to play. So the next time you come through first. You know, I want to be at the front end of some of these funds. So you know, I think that's the message you have to take back, that you know, you're going to walk into these rural counties and you're going to have to answer why you're holding up all the resources in towns that begin with C.
Commissioner,
We're
I
not
will
happy.
deliver your message. I understand your message quite well, actually, and I will make sure that it gets to the right people, including the director.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Appreciate-
Thank you for coming
both.
in.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Do you have business cards?
I'm sorry, I always forget.
Can I
to
get the
bring
spelling
them.
of your name, please?
Here, it's on page 4.
Yeah.
I don't have a book. Okay.
Airmail. Sure, I have the book, I
Call
have
911.
Can I
it.
also,
Thank you.
can I also give your name?
Reporter assaulted by commissioner.
His name is Jimmy. No, just kidding, it's Ron. Ron Craig.
I do have one other question for you folks. I'm guessing you cannot answer it, but I was instructed to ask, and that is, can you tell me if the landfill south of Fostoria is 100% compliant with EPA regulations?
I do not have that information. I'm sorry. But Ron, what is your last name?
CRAIG,
And then who are you with?
with the Review Times newspaper in Fostoria.
Yeah, I need to ask because we need to let our PIC know that a reporter was in the meeting.
If
And
I-
we are recording this live, and our friends at the Advertiser Tribune also are watching, and probably will write a report as well. So,
If I can make a suggestion to the commissioners, because the landfill is more of a county issue than it is a Fostoria issue, there's a tremendous problem with the stench coming from that landfill. And there are property owners who want to leave because of that stench, but can't because their property values have tanked because of that smell. And so you may want to consider having a work session and getting somebody from EPA here who
We're
will
in
give
conversations with the mayor.
straightforward.
we're in
Answers.
conversations with the mayor, City of Fostoria. We're aware of it.
And
I
then-
drove over the other night when the complaint came in, and so, topic for another day, but a message received. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we work with the environmental department out of the health department, who is, aware of those complaints and gets them probably faster than we do.
Yep.
But,
Old business.
we're ready to get underway with the printed items on the agenda. We'll start with
Thank you,
the.
Joy, for
Thank
coming.
you.
It's nice to
Thank
meet
you.
you.
Yeah, nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you as
And
well.
we'll be in touch. We got something that's pretty live.
Absolutely.
Okay, with the old business, the only item listed there, everything else I think that we added was new, right? Is the Justice Center. And aside from just kind of a recap of the festivities from Friday night and Saturday, the lighting ceremony, appreciate everybody who came out for that, and Pinnacle Lighting Group, working with them as our contractor providing the lighting and all of those things, so getting good reviews on that, and people reporting in on where they can see it from. It's kind of like a contest going on, which is way
What's
cool.
your favorite color?
Yeah, which is way cool. And I keep hearing it needs to be green for Saturday.
Yeah,
So that's,
We'll
probably
take it to the
doable.
committee,
Yeah, probably doable.
I have one thing I want to talk about on the Joint Justice Center, and this question came up periodically with people who are coming through on Saturday. 'Cause, I think everyone knows that over 750 people came through, so that's a really good turnout, great civic involvement, and Holly and I were there the whole time, greeting virtually everybody who walked in. So we got a lot of feedback, and I got to tell you that it's overwhelmingly positive. But one of the questions that came up was on maintenance. I think everybody likes the Justice Center, or not everybody likes the Justice Center, but the majority of people are appreciative of the Justice Center, and they want to know how we're going to take care of it. So, and I think it's been a while since we've talked about it, so I think we should talk about the fact that we have a joint use management and lease agreement with the city of Tiffin on how we will fund future improvements and maintenance of the building. And section 5.3 of that is the Joint Justice Center Capital Improvement and Replacement Fund, major capital improvements projects. So, think about cracked concrete or, major, boilers or air conditioners, air handlers or whatever. The county will put in $30,000 annually at the end of each year of operation, and the city will contribute $10,000. And that capital improvement fund will fund repairs as necessary and will accumulate until such repairs are needed. So the architects of this document had a very specific idea of how they wanted to fund rent, repairs, and maintenance of this building for a very long time. So it's built into the program. And it's been a long time since we've talked about that. This document was done in 2015. So it's important that we talk about it again, because people want to trust us with this building, but we need to tell them how we're going to maintain it. So I just wanted to make sure that we reiterated that.
You're right, it's out there, plan in place, but yeah, that's just gonna say what you had said as well, that we had a tremendous turnout for people coming through to see. Municipal court started moving in yesterday. And when do we do, well, we've a different floor each week for the next 3 weeks as well, with somebody moving in. When do we do our final walkthrough with Gilbane on the project? Because we did it on the furniture, but
Yeah, I don't have a date yet. I just got the first preliminary punch list from Silling. So we'll have to schedule that with Silling and Gilbane to go over. I don't have a date for that yet.
all right. Anything else? Justice Center, did you have anything?
No,
Okay.
Jenny was moving hard yesterday.
Yeah.
Judge was in his jeans and he was over there helping as well. So
Everybody was busy.
everybody was there.
That is good, that is good. And I guess it might be appropriate now to say as well as the work of this office, but specifically, our current administrator, Stacy, has worked extremely hard. You don't even want to begin to know the hours, just dealing with all the things that come with this move, with the phone data, etc. And we greatly appreciate what she's had to do to keep the move on target and literally moving forward, no pun intended. So we just, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that people don't even begin to realize. Get involved when you got this many different departments moving and all that. So appreciate your work on that. Okay, new business. Let's begin with the, oh, well, let's cover the stuff we added, so we don't forget it. Scanner.
Yeah, we have a recommendation from the safety committee to fund a briefcase scanner.
X-ray machine, basically. right?
Yeah, like,
For the Justice Center.
For the Justice Center entrance. And I think the cost is 38 and change.
Yeah, it's 32 and change.
$32,775.
32,775.
Mm-hmm. Do we have a fund of any sort that we would have money that comes from? I mean, capital improvement, anything that it fits, or does it need to be covered under?
Well, we don't have any extra set aside in the capital improvement funds. We've got dollars set aside if you would want to pull some from, you know, the annex project, or there was some other funds in there that we had set aside, but not specifically for this. This would probably be a general fund expense.
Who is the safety committee? I'm assuming it's the
It's
sheriff's
led by the
department
sheriff
and,
and the justices,
yeah.
as far as I know.
Okay. I mean, I have no objection to it. I think we've come this far, and I know that there was some confusion with the fact that there was either in a drawing and/or a conversation about this being part of the whole security system moving in, but then as we move forward with the actual approved plans, et cetera, we did not have it in there, and that we need to do it. How does this fall into the city's involvement with, obviously, it's a piece of equipment, falls under that maintenance agreement, correct? You know, that we have on the Justice Center, but I guess, assuming Judge Rep was also part of that, that's why I asked the question of who was on that committee. Or is it just ours alone? I'm not against it in any way.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I don't know if they've talked about that. I just know the sheriff asked me to request from the commissioners funding for this.
And under the agreement, it's the sheriff that provides security, so it's not a joint task force, I mean, you know, just for conversation.
Right.
So,
Because I'm assuming, I mean, timing is of the essence as we're gonna continuing the move, and I imagine municipals not waiting for everybody to get moved in. They're gonna start operations as of yesterday when they had a phone they could answer.
Thursday,
They're
right?
closed.
Thursday they have.
Yeah, I think
But they're
they're
back open for
planning on
business soon.
having
Okay.
pivot court, I think, in their courtroom on Thursday, and then they have some cases on Friday.
Okay.
But other than that, the office is closed.
So I guess from my standpoint, you know, in order for the sheriff to do his job, I would recommend that we fund this. My preference would be to fund it out of the annex. You know, we've got some excess money there, and if we need to move money in to cover it out of capital, at some point we put $650 in there for the annex, and I don't think we're there.
I like that thought, and one, because that money's there, two, it's for the annex as it.
Well.
That all, once done, it becomes all part of the center, and this is the entry point for the entire complex. So,
You gotta remember, we haven't moved the cash yet in 215. When we did the appropriations at the beginning of the year, it was just that, it was appropriations. So those funds, we haven't moved the cash for that yet, so. The initial 500,000 that we set aside has already been moved, but when we bumped it up to 650, as we talked about when we did budgets, the cash wasn't moved, it's just the appropriations. So, I'll have to verify that. I mean, obviously, we need the money in place for the contract, but there was some left, some over and above just for that 500, so.
okay, and I guess I don't anticipate, the sheriff has looked through everything, so there's not an issue. There's obviously the space for it, there's the power for it. There's no other unexpected cost as a result of get this in there so we can have it.
Yeah, he was over there measuring, he was over there checking things. I'm gonna guess he's done his due diligence on this, so.
How does, so it doesn't need to be bid, if he just does price checks?
This is on state term
State
pricing.
term? Okay, state term pricing, good. So we know what we're getting
the best deal we can.
Do you prefer we wait until, or do you have a resolution to read on this, or do you want, how
I
you want us
didn't,
to?
I didn't know if you wanted to pull it out of general fund or 215, so, either one, I can get a resolution for, just for the equipment.
The, like you said, it's not been, the annex money is in 215.
215, yeah. That's where you want me to pull that out of. I can-
That would be my first choice,
Okay.
but I'm not wed to the idea, but I
Yeah.
just think that
Makes sense.
we had set aside money there,
Mhm.
and this is,
Why?
Yeah.
One of these things.
We can just do a supplemental appropriation to put the $32,775 into the equipment line under the 215.
thank you. Do we need a,
Do you want that addressed today?
Yeah, if you want. yeah.
All right. I'll move that we fulfill the request of the, for the security committee on including the scanner X-ray equipment as necessary and as outlined in for funding of the 32,000 plus for the new Justice Center.
second?
Roll call.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Frischman?
Approved. All right, roof on the Ag Services Building. Next thing we added.
So we had some wind damage, last year, was
Yep.
it 17, and we have some repairs that need to be done. There are some leaks in a lower roof, and we got, estimate from JB for 24,000,
Yep, we're under.
a little under 24,000. And the question is, should we go ahead and do that work at the same time? We haven't been funding a lot of improvements at that building recently, just because we don't know. We haven't done a long-term facility plan out there, but I think a roof is probably something that we ought to do while we're out there, so.
Does this estimate, I mean, I've got the wording in front of me, but is any of that part covered by the, I know part of this is covered by insurance, but not all of it. Is this just the additional outside of, separate from the insurance?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I
Yes,
was,
the upper roof area was what was damaged during the storm. This was the lower roof that the insurance looked at, but didn't feel it was part of the same storm, so.
significant damage, okay.
So I think we need to long-term have a facility plan out there, but in the intermediate, near-term, we need to take care of them, and obviously keeping the water out of the building seems like a good idea.
Right, yeah, that's a very good idea. So, we have, now that we have money for in 215,
I don't, but I can get that ready for next week
okay,
if you want.
yeah, I'd say go that direction.
Yep.
Okay. And
So do you want a motion or a
I can do it next week.
recommendation?
for next
Okay,
week.
all right. But I didn't know what the timeline was on this,
Okay.
as far as getting back to the contractor when they're gonna do the work.
Okay, buildings and grounds request, I believe is what that was.
Yes. The request came in from the Chamber of Commerce Visitor Services for the farmers market activities. And I did my normal processes, sending this to the judges, the sheriff, send it to the commissioners. And there's just been some questions with the yard potentially not being,
Yeah, I think 2018
Established.
is going to be
Yeah.
a bit of a different year. You know, we're gonna have sidewalks to put in, and we're going to want that lawn to take root. So, you know, my recommendation is for 2018 that we keep people off the yard itself, the lawn, the courthouse lawn, until the grass really takes hold.
Give it a chance to get established. Did their request, I glanced at, but it did it involve the lawn? I mean, usually their stuff's all on, it's been on the street, but of course it's been a construction site for almost 2 years.
yeah. I think they usually stay off the lawn. He doesn't specifically request that. I know he uses the restrooms at the RTA building, and you know, he's usually on Washington Street. But
You have some more information?
Yeah, I know that they usually let Gym Yoga do a like yoga on the grass on the lawn, but there's usually a pop-up tent. There's no permanent damage that I That's the only thing that was typically on the grass.
And it wouldn't have been
But I
last two.
can't speak to what John's thinking this year, but it's usually a
Right.
raise for people.
Yeah, 'cause the last 2 years, the fence would have been up, so, I mean, come July, it'd be 2 years, so they couldn't have been on any
So
grass.
that may be what he's thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would
So-
stick with the thing on the yard, I just think we need to, because we don't know when we're gonna have all that ready anyway, is that
Yeah.
we need to respectfully get the yard established without any, I mean, that's limited, but we're gonna get limited use of it without anybody asking, just people walking across it.
Yeah, well, it
So-
might be, yeah.
I guess.
Okay. And I'll talk to him about it, see, maybe he wasn't anticipating using much of the yard anyway, but he wasn't specific. I just know when I sent it out, there was some concerns about,
I know they've used the benched area and the, where by the flagpole and all that, and that's certainly, that's not a problem, that's concrete.
And it's a public space, and we're
Yeah.
going to, we're gonna be open to that going forward, but this is just a transition year. So.
Carpet, CSB.
yes, went over and looked at the law library space, which was the previous victim's assistance. The carpet and the paint should be done by Wednesday. Paint's been done. Carpet should be done by Wednesday to get the law library starting to get moved in. They talked to the prosecutor about using the grand jury room to line it with books. And we went into the grand jury room. There's some carpet in the grand jury room that has very wore down spots and should be replaced. So then we also looked into the next room, the conference room that the health department used, and it would need replaced as well. So John is getting a price for me. I don't have it today. I wanted to let you know it was coming. If that's gonna be used more, then obviously if that carpet is wore, it's gonna get snagged and it's gonna be a trip hazard, so. I'll let you know as soon as the quote comes in, but I just wanted to give you a heads up that that was coming since we were over there. CSB basement where Jean is going to be putting her, some of her stuff from 81 Jefferson Street. The walls are painted and the new tile is in, so it's ready for her to start moving stuff into. She's got priority right now with the Justice Center. We do have it ready, so when she's ready.
Okay, good.
From a carpet standpoint, are we doing carpet tiles now, or are we doing, or what's the operating philosophy from John on that?
I think for most of our active spaces, that's what he's using. For the Victims Assistance Area Law Library, he was just gonna use the regular carpet. We usually
Commercial
get,
grade,
yeah. Yeah, since it's not gonna be heavy traffic, it's just gonna be, I mean, after she moves downstairs, it'll be basically just storage. So I just wanna let you know that was coming.
Are there any other areas that we need to address in CSB as far as carpet?
Carpet,
that we're aware of?
I'd have to look, cause those two I didn't know about until we went in there, so that's when we noticed it needs replaced. And if we're gonna be in there moving stuff anyway, to put shelves in there, we might as well get it done.
Sure. And we recarpeted the basement conference room for the health department.
Yes, yep.
That's it?
Yes, yeah.
All right, I guess then the remaining items on the printed agenda under new business, beginning with the supplemental appropriations.
All right. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations to the general fund. This is putting $40,000 into contract services. This is for the airport to get Stantex contracts put back in place, rolled over from last year. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriation to the CBCF fund. That is the Crossway. They're putting $57,571 into their contract services. This is to do the repairs on that they got the grant for. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations to the general fund. This is at the request of the auditor's office to put $14,325.46 into reclaimed estates. And I have a resolution amending the board's orders of March 6th. Resolution 2018-97, authorizing a fund advance from the general fund to the CDBG fund. Looks like, looks like they were trying to go direct into the lines instead of the advanced in. When we did the resolutions, it was putting it into direct lines, and it needs to go into advances, and then she can appropriate it into the lines. A resolution approving the recommendations of the Tax Incentive Review Council's findings regarding the enterprise zone and community reinvestment area tax abatements for companies located in Seneca County for tax year 2017. It is, okay. And a resolution appointing Holly M. Stacy to represent Seneca County Commissioners on the District Public Works Integrating Committee for the Ohio Public Works Commission, District 16, expiring April 30th, 2021. Resolution authorizing the 4D service contract between Seneca County Common Police Court 1 and Common Police Court 2, juvenile clerk, juvenile magistrate, clerk of courts, Seneca County, on behalf of the Seneca County Department of Job and Family Services. And I think that's my last resolution.
I'd like to get a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Okay, well, second, any comments, questions, concerns on any of the stated resolutions? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes,
Commissioner Kushner?
all approved. You. Opportunity for citizens' comments at this time. Do we have any?
Paul, the floor is yours.
I think I said 2 months.
I appreciate you taking the lead on that, and I appreciate your service in regional planning. It's very, very valuable.
Nothing else for the good of the order. Ms. Watkins?
My favorite color's purple on the lighthouse.
Thank you.
And the tour that
On the lighthouse? Wait a minute.
Not lighthouse, courthouse.
I like
See,
that.
I'm thinking beach. I'm thinking
Beach, that's all right.
On the courthouse.
The business
and,
beacon.
Yes, and on the county elected officials and departments tour that we took on Friday of the Joint Justice Center. Kudos to all of you, it is beautiful. You did a wonderful job, and it is majestic, and the emotional, it was just overwhelming when you saw it. It's beautiful. You did a wonderful
It
job.
was a fun weekend.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Zach?
Couldn't have said it better.
Okay.
Fantastic group.
Thanks. All right. No further business. We can adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much.